So where you can see these billboards, somewhere to the left of here was the Goodwin Fountains, and originally the roads used to go around the Goodwin Fountains. It used to be like a roundabout, so it might have been a bit further out, or it might have been about there. So one bit you could drive up and down Fargate back in before 1974. So one of those pictures I've got is you see the Jubilee obelisk, and I think that's from Queen Victoria, I'm assuming. That's been moved to a park in about 1904, but you see the picture of the obelisk and you see the town hall, and just behind it are the Peace Gardens where St Paul's was. So you can actually see evidence that in 1890 or before 1890 there was actually housing exactly where the town hall was. The town hall was actually finished in about 1897 when they first moved, and I think it probably took about 5 years. So that's one angle on the town hall, and I'm going to go into the Peace Gardens where St Paul's was and give you another angle from there. So I'm in what was once the Peace Gardens in Sheffield. You can see, I think this is called St Paul's Parade down here, lovely red brick building. Now, I heard that St Paul's had been knocked down in 1938, and the reason it was actually knocked down is Sheffield City Council purchased it for £150,000, had it knocked down, and the idea was to actually extend the town hall out to here. But because the war came along, that never actually happened, and this became the Peace Gardens. And I can show you the area now. At one bit, the Peace Gardens went right up to this red brick building. They went right up to these modern buildings at the bottom, and then they went right up to the town hall over here. There were beautiful lawn gardens with flower beds, and they were a place where you could relax. Now, they were called the Peace Gardens after Neville Chamberlain's speech, where he said peace in our time, but it wasn't officially named the Peace Gardens until 1985. It had been St Paul's Gardens prior to that, but somewhere on this area was the old St Paul's Church. Now, it had been built because what's currently Sheffield Cathedral couldn't deal with a growing population, so they built St Paul's here to actually cope with the additional population. Now, the stonework has gone elsewhere. The organs in some church in Rotherham, I can't remember its name, but you can see from the pictures, I actually just walk across more to St Paul's Chambers. So from the pictures I actually showed you previously of the town hall, you'll see St Paul's just in front of me. But on those pictures, where the town hall was housing, and where here was housing. So this isn't a Mudflood building either. The pictures are there to prove it. If anybody can't accept that, then they're not living in reality. The pictures are there. There's artist impressions as well of it. So really, St Paul's was here because there was housing around it. There's nothing like this in the past, and the Victorians must have been absolutely prolific builders. I mean, how could they build such a beautiful building like the town hall, which is totally different to this building? We've lost so many skills that we once had. And if I'm just going to walk up here, just here, where you can see the grates, was actually the original boundary wall. So we'll now go down to the town hall and actually look at the town hall. So you can see the town hall right in front of me, and we've got somewhere called Cheney Row, and you can see pictures of how Cheney Row was, or artist impressions, and they've kept the sign there. But this was where the ladies' toilets were originally. Now people talk about Mudflood and buildings being buried beneath the ground because it goes down quite a bit. But I just don't believe that was the case with Sheffield Town Hall. Now there are pictures of when they actually dug out St Paul's in 1938 to create the Peace Gardens, and they dug down quite a bit deeper, and this might be why there's raised floors around here, or lower floors just here. I think their engineering works, but it's such a beautiful building, and we can see over the last 3 years they've definitely reset us, and Sheffield landscape's changed completely in the last 3 years. But this has been periodically happening over time. They don't want people to remember the past. The way you can see these modern buildings around the back of the Peace Gardens, you'll have also seen the old pictures showing the buildings. One here had got a castle type turret with a clock on it. I just think it was prolific. These people were paid peanuts to work and build these buildings. And they probably worked a lot longer hours than we worked. They were living near the town centres, they weren't travelling to work. So they must have been working all hours to build them. I don't think people really appreciate what conditions people worked in the past. They could just throw these buildings up much quicker. I think this one took about 5 years. But it's just such a contrast to St Paul's Chambers on the other side. Now part of this was an extension, so they built the original town hall, or opened it in 1897, and I think this bit here is an extension. So the outer part, if you go to the opposite side of the building and to where the road is, was the original town hall, and I think somewhere about here was the extension. So when they knocked down St Paul's, what they were going to do is they were going to extend the town hall further across there. So they'd extended it so far to about there in 1920s, and then they failed to extend it further than that horrible egg box, if you can remember it behind me. So I'm not 100% sure where they blended it in from old to new. I think that's the old bit there. I think it only went, the original town hall probably only went to about there, because I've seen pictures and this bit's much darker than this bit over here. So this is an infill here going up towards the front of the town hall, but the front of the town hall actually existed. But we've lost so many skills if this was only built back in the 1900s. So all these people claiming this building's been around 200 years, I'm sorry, it's not true. It's just not true. But that doesn't mean there hasn't been instances of it elsewhere in the world. It's certainly not in Sheffield. But I don't believe the history that we're being told is true either. I mean, Robin Hood comes from about 15 miles from where I live, and when you go to Sherwood Forest, when you look at all the signs, they claim that they've got no proof that Robin Hood really existed. And it was just many different outlaws, and it became fable. So that was like, when was Robin Hood? Robin of Locksley and all of that, you know, goes back a long time. So it's just fable, a lot of it. But I'd just love to know how they actually built it. But you've seen in the prior photographs where they're actually building it. They haven't got the tower on it on one of the photographs. They were still building it. But I would say the town hall and all these buildings around it are just 19th century. What they've done is, Sheffield existed more around the Castlegate area. I don't know if they moved it, the town centre, because it was flooding, or it was just down to expansion. But the area behind the town hall was Alsop Fields, and you've seen the picture, or like an artist's impression of Sheffield before it became completely built up. So there are artists around who actually drew pictures, and as photographs they've just as justifying that that was a reality at the time. I think the men's toilets are around here, and at one bit there was a bar around here, but I don't know if the bar's still around here. Personally, I wouldn't be wanting to use that bar where the men's toilets were, because they were so seedy, those toilets. So we're on Surrey Street at the moment, but you've seen all the pictures beforehand that I've shown you, and then if you get the actual walk around in your mind going down Surrey Street, you'll be able to understand that St Paul's was just surrounded by slum type housing, back to back housing. I don't like calling it slum housing, but that's what they would have called it. So in a minute I'm actually going to pop in the town hall, but I'm just going to have a word with them before I go in, so that they don't come up to me and ask me what I'm doing. So we're right on the front of the town hall now. One of the things I've done is I've had a word, or I've done another freedom of information request to Sheffield City Council, because they're very good with a freedom of information request, and I've asked for plans for the building in the 1900s. I've also asked for any photographs of the building being constructed, you know, being dug out and everything. But, you know, I'm 100% certain now, looking at the photographs of St Paul's, where what they call it, the obligus was down there, the Jubilee obligus was, that there's no doubt that this was built and finished in 1897, and it's not a mudflood building, it's not a previous civilization. So let's have a walk in, and I'll actually show you how beautiful it is in here. So where's all these building techniques gone? So I'm now inside the town hall. I can only go in part of it, but I just really want to show you the splendour in it. If you look at this, I can't believe stonemasons made this. It looks more like it was some sort of cast thing. Just doesn't look as though it's been chiselled, and I just think it'd just take too long to chisel. So I think they've got some techniques they've used in the past, and that's how they could knock these buildings up so quickly. It's a bit like I've seen a video of the pyramids, and what they claim is the pyramids weren't actually big blocks of stones. They actually cemented blocks in. So they create a load of blocks, or partition a load of blocks off, then fill it up with crushed granite that had been melted, which then hardened, and that's how they create the pyramids. And I've got to wonder about some of the techniques with some of this stuff. But I have seen the picture. I think it's a railway station in Edinburgh, and it just doesn't. It just looks very strange, that, because why would you spend so much effort with the glass top on it for a train station? But it really gives you an appreciation of the love that went into this building. But when you think it was built in 1897, and just think about the housing that people were living in back then, and they could spend the money on a building like this back then. It's just wonderful. So you've got a small model, but I think I was told there's a photograph downstairs showing the building being built. But well, I'll say that's just a quick view around the town hall, just showing you how splendid it is inside. And that's the video over and out. If you still believe that this building was here before 1897, I'm sorry, but there's nothing more I can say.